Good afternoon. Welcome to a special meeting of the Greenwich Board of Selectmen. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, this is a special meeting of the board. There are copies of the agenda and the materials on the back. The purpose of the meeting is to respond to a request for a road closure for the area of River Road extension between Valley Road and East Putnam Avenue. The purpose of the road closure, or the reason for the request, is that Eversource Energy has to replace the existing transformers at what is they refer to as the Mayanis distribution substation, and they are under a time limit constraint. The reason the board is taking this up, for those who are not familiar with what the board does, is under the state regulations and the town charter, we are the parking and traffic authority. Thereby, issues related to traffic come before the board for consideration. So we'll be hearing today from Eversource, who's being represented by Tracy Alston, the Community Relations, what is your title? Community Relations Specialist. Also joining us today is Melissa Evans from the Department of Public Works. Tell me the traffic, I want to get it right. Traffic Operations Coordinator. Traffic Operations Coordinator.
I'm going to make you a cue card.
Thank you. I'm getting slow. I can't help it. Have mercy on an old person.
You know what? I don't come here anymore. I just come to more meetings.
Listen, definitely. We will miss you. So why don't we begin? And I also want to acknowledge that we, through the Eversource, done outreach, but there's a number of business owners in the area. This is a very small road, but it's a very intensive road. There's a lot of things going on there. So Tracy, I'm going to let you explain the whole thing to us. I had the opportunity yesterday of meeting with you and your team and Commissioner Siebert in the police department, so I got a little bit of a head start, but pretend that nobody knows anything and tell us what it's about.
Perfect. And I do thank you for accommodating us and calling the meeting in such a short notice. So again, as you stated, for the Mayanis substation, it's an emergency transformer replacement. The purpose is that Eversource actually identified an emergent need to replace the existing transformer, one of the two that's at the Mayanis distribution substation. And we've been given to do this by June 1st. We've said by May 31st because we want to be able to get done prior to the holiday and prior to the warm season when air conditioners and the demand's going to be higher. So in order to actually provide that and to address the summer peak loads, we're looking to kind of get this implemented pretty much yesterday. The location is going to be the Mayanis substation that's located at 128 River Road Extension in the Cascade neighborhood. Background. So in order for us to replace the existing transformer by June 1st, we have a significant amount of work that is required for mid to late April, continuing into May. Due to the size and the weight of the transformers, special equipment is required to accomplish this work. The substation provides a small work area, and the abutting street, River Road Extension, is also very narrow. Temporary closures of portions of River Road Extension will be required to enable heavy equipment to access the substation, remove and haul the existing transformer, as well as deliver and install the new transformer. And the corresponding map, if you'll notice in the insert, the closure would actually exist in between where those red lines are. So it would be after, I believe that's Louie's and Joey's, similar to their.
Yes. So in fact, Joe, you have the map, right? So it's after your place, right at the start of the pizza place, Fiorentino's? Fiorentino's. Going to we didn't know the name of it yesterday. What is the new owner of the Town Country building? You know, it was like a furniture place?
The new furniture.
Is it open yet or no? Okay.
Okay.
There's 2 or 3 more businesses in there also. It's all the same.
Because so we didn't know that yesterday when we were talking to your colleague, but that's one that I would think would be.
And we're definitely going to address those.
Okay, so that's the area.
Okay. So the scheduling that we're looking at is the work is scheduled to be completed, as I stated earlier, by May 27th. However, hopefully it'll actually be completed earlier depending on some factors. So the full road closures that we're looking to have would actually be on April 18th, which would actually be the first day that the transformers being transported from upstate. We've guesstimated about a 6-hour travel time from Hartford down to here. We are limited by the state road permits to be only on the roads from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So what we're looking to do is to coordinate with a local business to actually be able to get the transformer off the road after 4 p.m., and then they'll start back with the final travel on the 19th. Actually looking for full road closure again as well from 4/24 through 4/26. This will be during the transition as far as being able to break down the old transformer, the new, and actually kind of do a swap that way. May 4th and 5th, I believe, refers to when we're actually going to need the oil delivery for the new transformer, because it's actually a full rig that comes down to load the oil. When we transport transformers, we actually break them down and drain them of all fluids, be it the oil and whatever chemicals are associated. So they're traveling dry. So once we actually drain everything, we'll have one that will remove the oil from the existing, but once the new is installed, we'll actually have delivery coming in to bring the oil for the new transformer.
Tracy, did something happen to this one?
Yes.
Or
So-
is it old?
Both. It's both. There's two transformers there. The current transformer we refer to as the 2X, and we've had consistent failures over a time frame. And I'm sorry.
And
Closures. Okay. Oh, for the road. Gotcha. Okay. So we've had quite a few instances with that transformer, and due to the age of that transformer, they're concerned with the upcoming weather that it's not going to be able to be resilient to be able to sustain through the summer, which is why they've identified that this kind of needed to be done. And we're not allowed to take outages as well during peak seasons.
And that affects how many? If that were to go, that affects how many transformers this size are in Greenwich?
Well, but off the top of my head, I'm not sure, because
But,
they're
I mean,
various sizes, and this is one of the smaller ones.
Oh, it's a
They're
small,
not as-
okay.
Yeah, it's not as large as ones that we would have, say, at Cascab. So it is a smaller transformer, but I guess it's in
It's all
relativity,
part of the
because if you
system.
see it, it's a
Alright.
large.
Sorry,
I can follow up with you and get you
Sure.
exact
I'm
numbers if you need
just
them.
curious. That's all.
So the dates could fluctuate, though, by a day or two, depending on weather or any other associated delays. We're hoping that the weather cooperates with us, and we shouldn't have any issues there. In addition, transport of the replacement transformer has been dictated by the state of Connecticut DOT permits. Some of the conditions within the permit, as I had stated, we are unable to travel during inclement weather. And again, we're limited to the times of 9 to 4. In addition to those dates, we've also requested temporary road closures between April 27th and May 27th. And when we're saying temporary, it could just be, hey, a truck needs to come in or so forth, and we may just need to close it for, say, 5 minutes or 10 minutes at that point. And when I'm saying road closures, I just want to be clear. It is going to be closed in those sections for through traffic. For local residents, they'll be able to get in. We will have an officer, we plan to have an officer on site at all times, not just for the ends of the road closures, but to be able to assist with allowing patrons as well as the residents come through. There will be barricades, but we'll actually have a person on site, which is actually here. So we actually, I'm so sorry. So yeah, she's actually going to be Crystal's going to be doing the outreach and visiting each resident and business that will be affected on River Road. She'll be able to identify any issues or concerns up front, and we'll try to accommodate that way. She'll also be on site throughout the entire construction. So as patrons will be walking through, if they need an escort to the barriers to be able to get to the businesses, they will have that. Let's see, what else am I looking to? So again, we're requesting 2 police officers to be on duty, 1 at each end of the street, that will provide that traffic control. Even when we don't have the 2 on the end of the street, say when we're doing the full closures, we will always have an officer with us, as well as our on-site coordinator to actually be able to assist any of the folks walking in. Well, so we're really working, and we'll start outreach today, and this is why I asked Crystal to come with us. So I had a feeling that some of the business owners and/or residents may attend today. So I wanted you to have an opportunity to meet Crystal face-to-face. She can meet with you afterwards. If you have existing concerns right off the bat, we can start, addressing them with Crystal, and Crystal will be your point of contact to address any of those concerns as we move forward. Let's see what else. And we are doing door-to-door outreach. So even for those that aren't here, Crystal will be going door-to-door. Anybody that's not present at the time that Crystal attends, they'll have a door hanger left that'll actually explain what's going on and a contact number for them to be able to reach out to us, and we'll address whatever concerns there as well.
We're actually in the process of trying to look up the phone numbers that might not be on site as well.
Correct. So we have every intention to actually reach out to every single person that's going to be, that's on that road. You're shaking your head. Agreed. Nope, we agree.
Come up here and speak.
So no, Eversource does recognize that there's been numerous problems with that substation. That does require some upgrades, and I'm fairly confident that this will help cut down dramatically the amount of inconveniences for shutdowns once we have this transformer replaced. And because of the inconveniences that the gentleman just spoke to is one of the key reasons. We do keep track of consistent failures and outages with our equipment, and when it hits a certain area, that's where they're just like, it needs to go and needs to be replaced. So hopefully with this, I think this will be a huge impact to lessening those occurrences from happening.
And I'm assuming you're all, because I would like to hear from you. You're all here just concerned about the impact it's going to have on the small business with the road closures, I'm assuming? Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Obviously.
so the only other thing I had in addition is that we will be working with Melissa Evans, traffic coordination, as well as any particular signage, whatever other additional requirements that are going to be asked of us.
I think Melissa's going to address this, but
Oh,
the big
perfect.
one is the detour
Yep.
routes, because that has far-reaching implications beyond that little area in terms of how it's done.
Yep.
And posted. Also, the buses, I know, is also mentioned, so perhaps, Melissa, you'll touch on that, or?
I will.
Great. But,
Any other questions?
yeah, no, I think you've highlighted the reason for it. I don't think anybody's going to argue with the need to do it. It's just making sure that we can reduce the impact, which it sounds like you've got enough resources dedicated. The only question I have on that is, should people have an issue, who do they go to? Who do they call, so that there's a number? So
They'll have
Crystal, right?
They're going to have Crystal's direct number, and again, Crystal will be on site during the entire, and so we'll make that available to those before. we
Crystal,
leave.
you're going to be a very popular woman on River Road Extension.
For better-
Listen, but you know what? You'll be well-fed, because you got your menu
We've
of
got some great
things.
spots there, and that's what I was like, well, at least we have great food. And as well, and I want you to be sure, Crystal and I will work hand in hand, so on a daily basis, so I will be made aware of any concerns or any issues that arise. So I will keep the selectmen informed as well as we go there. We work together as a team, we're really not separate. So, but Crystal will be physically on site during that whole time, as well as visiting you door to door.
You're going to really like it there, I'm telling you. You're really going to like it.
Look at this group. Look at this happy group.
But the,
But the only place in town you know about.
there are good.
Remember, I hail from Glenville. We don't have these problems in Glenville.
Tracy,
All right, sorry.
yeah, emergency vehicles,
Yes.
do they have access during this time? Because the senior center is there, the adult daycare center.
Yep. We recognize the senior center as well, and, which is very sensitive. Crystal will be meeting with them as well, along with everyone else, to determine, specific needs, and if we need to accommodate work times to make sure that we don't disrupt their operational flow. Certain areas, it's like, for the most part, there will be, say, enough clearing for them to be able to get an emergency vehicle through. If we need to move, what have you, that we're going to accommodate. We're definitely not going to hinder any type of emergency need for vehicles.
When you're looking at this, so where are the barricades actually? So if I'm coming down East Putnam, right?
Yep.
And I make a right-hand turn onto River Road Extension in front of Jim Caparelli's building. I'm gonna be able to turn in there. There isn't gonna be barricades there. I could turn in and I can go,
No, come on up,
yeah.
Crystal.
Because I think that you could get into GADC or River House, that's the senior, you can get into the establishments in Mr. Caparelli's building, you can get into Joey B's.
Yep.
You just couldn't go beyond
Right,
there without,
so-
without assistance, right? Because if I understand it correctly, you still can get through, but it's going to be past at the direction of a police officer.
Correct. So we actually intentionally set it up, so we're looking to really set up these barricades. If you're coming from Putnam, turning onto River Road with a right-hand turn, the barricade would be after both of those driveways into the senior center and into the deli there, and then on the opposite side, you have some businesses over there. And so it'd be up mostly in front of that residence there, and then a police officer would be stationed there. So if those residents need to get in, if patrons need to walk along through there, have any concerns, there'll be an officer stationed there to help mitigate that traffic. But there'll be basically unaltered access in and out of those parking lots. And then coming from the other way, from Valley Road, coming down River Road, the barrier would be set up after the curve, and then after those parking spaces for Louis, and the parking for, there's a residence right next to Louis where they pull in on the side there. So it would be after that residence pull in, basically right in front of that furniture place, but I think their driveway is on the Louis side, not the substation side, so it should be okay. And again, we'll work with all of those residences. One thing that I'm not sure if you covered or not, when we do have these barricades set up, we will have to restrict street parking, just due to the size of the trucks that are needed to transport this equipment. We don't want to risk any damage to vehicles that would be street parked. And so, again, we'll work with the town and the police to put up the adequate signage in advance of when that's needed. But, so we would have to restrict street parking for at least that section.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks. Melissa, welcome.
Please state your name and title, please, for the record.
Joe.
Kidding. Oh, my God. Happy
For
Easter
the
to you,
record.
too. Happy Easter.
Yeah, I know. I was getting there, Ken. I'm short, I know. So, I'm here to go over some things that I think, at least I know, Peter, you received an email from Amy Siebert. I know Tracy received the email as well. There are a few issues still that I think need to be resolved before we can go any further with this. One of them, again, I think probably the biggest one that Peter already pointed out is there has to be an actual detour plan in place. The plan that was submitted, which clearly shows the road closure itself and the signs that will be put at either end of River Road Extension, is just the very beginning piece of what we need to see as far as a detour plan, especially given that Nassau Place is only one way in from East Putnam Avenue, so people on Valley can't use that to get out to East Putnam. And other than detouring them at the Orchard Street intersection, with notice down there, there is no other way to get them out to East Putnam Avenue once they pass River Road Extension. Now they're all the way into North Miamis, and, so we really need to see a plan that shows what the detour route is going to be, where the signs will be placed, how it will be set up, because So here's the thing, right? So if you're through traffic,
Yeah.
the issue is that local traffic will be allowed through, but the point is to restrict through traffic, right? So if you are someone who has come from, if you're coming from East Putnam Avenue, it's not as much of an issue because we're going to bring them up to Nassau, right? Now, Nassau's a one-way street. They're not going to probably be thrilled with however much traffic gets diverted there, but it's going to be, short-term full closures. But throughout the whole process, I think they're trying to restrict, correct me if I'm wrong, through traffic.
Correct.
So that means this detour is going to be in place for the entire time. So, right. Nassau has a lot of on-street parking as well that I don't even think we would have room for that now if we wanted to. But it's the other direction. So in other words, people who will often, for lack of a better term, cut through, right, River Road Extension, who are on Valley to get various places, will now have to go all the way down to Orchard, come out around, right, go out to Route 1 by the school, and then make that left back onto East Putnam.
Need to make clarification. The road is not closed the entire month that we're doing the work. It's just for those specific dates.
Right, but you're going to have barricades up.
The barricades, again,
Those
are
dates.
just for those dates. And so when you looked at route, we did take into account, we recognized the Nassau is only one way. So for the orange route, if you look at, we had highlighted on there, we recognized it would have to go up Nassau Place and either go Orchard right onto Valley. For the blue route that we did recognize, River Road and Valley would be traveling Route 1. On the south side would be directed to Valley and Orchard. So, but again,
Right.
it's not for the month. It is for, I believe, on average, what it was,
Isn't that
6
great?
days.
Right, so Tracy, just,
Right, but
your
I just asked you, if through traffic is not
Well, through
allowed.
traffic for those
periods of
dates,
time
for
and
those
dates.
periods of
Okay,
time.
still, you have
No,
to
no,
have
I
signage
understand.
up. You can't, this map with blue and orange lines is not a detour plan.
Right. So,
Detour plan has to show the roads that you're actually using and the signage that will be put up to direct people to those roads. Everyone who drives there doesn't know where to go, and especially with Nassau being one way, and having a police officer say, well, go up here and make a left, is not a detour plan. So a plan actually needs to be in place
Yeah.
that shows what's going on.
There's no way you can make it right on that, so it's good. Traffic all the way up to St. Catharines. Don't have
I mean,
to go all the way to Constance.
It's a public road, so, I mean, it's the next available road,
It's right there.
you know.
It's gonna back it all
Let's
the
do
way
it in contingency to the plan.
down the road,
So-
all the way up to
Well, it shows either Nassau or Orchard, so Nassau's a
Nassau's
congestion
rough, it's a
issue.
small street.
You can
Right,
eliminate that.
I know, I know it's,
Outside at the end,
so Melissa,
no, I know.
so following your guidance, we could give contingent approval to the road closure contingent upon them getting to you all the requisite detour plans
Right.
that you can sign, seal, and do. So then it's, the board saying, we support you replacing your thing, we support it being done, so long as it in accordance with what you need in terms of signage and all of that.
Right,
So,
so that's number one,
Yeah.
the detour plan. And don't forget, I'm not here tomorrow, so,
yeah, none of us are, right?
right? None of us are here tomorrow.
Tracy,
so,
I don't know, you're going to be working late tonight.
Mr. Chairman, just, I'm sorry, Melissa. It goes to you, does that mean that, does it have to come back for our approval, or she can just?
No, I mean.
No, I mean, I think via email, I can just send something out that says,
Yeah,
I
because-
received it and it's fine.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, she's the right, she knows what signs and where and all that.
Sounds good
We
to me.
just have to say, it's your area of expertise, we trust what you're going to sign off, so.
Gee,
but-
thanks.
Yeah, we do.
I know, that's
So-
good.
So,
So that's
That's
number
one.
one. That's kind of I think the biggest one. The second thing, and I called over to police traffic before I came down. Nobody answered. I was hoping someone would be here, But between now and, I think, midday Monday, we need to make sure that, because I believe they offered to reach out to Transportation over at Board of Ed. So we need to make sure that that's actually been coordinated. Kids are back in school on Monday, and, whether this is a bus route, or there are bus stops, or there are school kids walking to bus stops on this road, we just want to make sure that they know what's going on and can coordinate. I know there are no sidewalks, but that doesn't mean there aren't bus stops, unfortunately, but. So we just need to make sure that they know what's going on, because, they would have to follow any detour as well during those times. The third item would be for the times, like working Saturday, starting at 7 a.m., working on a Sunday, working overnight, is obtaining the noise ordinance variance from environmental health. Amy did send an email to Mike Long with the information that was sent.
We were notified of that yesterday, so I plan on going into it.
Okay. So to just make sure that's in place. And then, and I know Tracy already knows this, obtaining a highway permit for just the use of right-of-way. But I think she was going to come and see me right after this for that anyway. And then the next thing that would have to be done, ideally, it would be done by close of business today, because normally we require contractors to do it 2 weeks ahead of time, is advance notice signs at the location at River Road Extension saying that the road will be closed. The 18th is Tuesday. So normally what we have people do is say, road to be closed, starting this date, ending that date, and put them up 2 weeks ahead of time. Now, we don't have 2 weeks, but if they could get out this afternoon and put those signs up, that would be ideal. And then moving forward for the closure 24th to the 26th, put them up in advance, and then for the one in May. Normally what people do, just for everyone's information, is you get the sign that says, River Road Extension to be closed, following dates, and then you have blanks where you can put in whatever dates. So those signs can effectively be out, since your dates kind of run into each other, the 2 weeks in between the 18th and the 24th, not even really 2 weeks. So you could just leave it up, put the new date on it after the 18th, after the 24th to the 26th, you would put the new May dates on it, and then when that's done, you could take it down.
And our media relations will be sending out a media advisory as well to all of the contacts as well.
We just like to have it up because, there are people who just, who are may be driving through there and don't pay attention to the news or read the paper or whatever, and they wouldn't get the outreach because they don't live there, but they drive through there on a regular basis, so we like them to have the advance notice. Okay, I think
Great.
that's
Thank you, Melissa.
everything.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions who's here? Yeah, John, if you could come up, only because they can't hear it, and then it's.
I'm just curious where they'll turn around when they come and see the blockade. Do they come into one of the driveways and back out and turn around, or what's the logistic of actually someone stopping them and telling them they can't go any further?
Well, the signage would, and we'll work this out with Melissa, but we did intend to, sorry. I'm not really loud enough without a mic. But actually, with regards to the signs, we didn't expect to only put signs at those red points. We want them in advance on the other roads, especially at East Putnam, because some may say, I'm not even going down there. They didn't need to and could go around, because I know some use it as a throughway. So we'll make sure that when we meet with Melissa, that this is pretty much Melissa's job, to ensure that we have adequate signage far in advance, I think, from just people running up on it going, whoa, I can't go there. So, no, we don't want them to just suddenly get there and realize not. We'll make sure that we have signage out.
But in
Ahead of
the
time
event
for
they
that.
don't, I think
Then
what
they-
John, they don't, just so I'm clear in my head, there's still going to be the ability, if you get up to that point, the police aren't going to say, go back, will they let them go through? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you're going to be letting the local go through. If someone makes it's a mistake, or it's.
I'm sure we would be able to accommodate it. Now, keep in mind, depending on when they get there, it could be in the midst of transition, so they may have to wait a few minutes to be able to go through, but
I mean,
we'll accommodate the instances as they occur.
Well, it's going to be dependent upon the police on premise that's the judgment call they're going to
And we'll
make.
be sure to, yeah, and, I mean, we work.
But I think John's point is a valid one, because that whole, oops, now I'm stuck in backing in and out is going to disrupt the
Disrupt the
business,
businesses whose lots are
rather than
left
just
open.
kind of let them go through.
Yep. So we'll talk with, and we'll make sure that our police, when we have the police there, we'll coordinate. We always talk in the morning prior to get a plan for the day, so we'll be sure to address that, so that they know, to be able to allow that.
Hello,
Hi, welcome.
Name and title?
Dominic Delfino, owner of Joey B's.
Hey, Don.
Will there be signs on the post road stating that businesses are open?
Yep, I think
Yes.
that was one of the ones on
That's one
the
of the
mat
ones.
here.
Yep.
Okay.
Road closed, local traffic only, business is open.
Okay. I've been there since '08. They've been having problems. We've been closed for business. We've lost a lot of business. And I understand that this needs to be done. We have a lot of Eversource guys that come in my establishment, and the workers tell me how old everything is there that needs to be updated. Totally understandable. But as a small business owner, it hurts. It hurts. With the rents that we pay, the taxes, all of my workers, family guys, they need their money. And it's tough. So we have to do our best. Traffic is a nightmare on Thursdays. You see on Thursdays and Fridays going up the hill of St. Catharines, it backs down all the way down. It backs down all the way down. And that's going to affect our business also. I'm not going to, I mean, you've come by, if you see traffic and you were going to come to Joey V's, you're not going to come and get your Philly steak anymore because of the traffic. You're going to go someplace else.
Yeah.
It wouldn't serve as good.
I'm sorry?
It wouldn't be as good.
Thank you. Totally understandable, but like I said, and like John said, I don't know if we could turn around, work with the Hill House and have an access turnaround from there, so on and so forth. I don't know. But
Yeah, we got to reach out. That's a very good point, because they're going to be open. I mean,
they have buses.
Yeah.
And rest assured, the last thing we want to do is impede small business, so we will be in contact too, because we
We'll
agree.
be there.
And we'll
Yeah.
talk offline.
I mean-
We're going to address each business individual, but.
I mean, my business is breakfast and lunch, 2 to 4. I'll take a siesta like I'm back home in Italy. That's fine. But, from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock, it's our business again. You have Gopher, who's going to be opening up very soon right now. It opened, sorry.
Oh, the ice cream.
This is our time now.
Yeah.
This is our time. This should have happened in January, February. And I know there's restrictions on the timage of doing the work and delivering everything, whatever, transformers. Can we do the work at nighttime? Just for this. Not only are there 6 food establishments from one end to the other end, but all of the businesses in between. You got patio.com. Probably won't be that affected. You got Red Canoe. You have the deli, besides the food shops. Upstairs, a t-shirt promotion guy, jewelry guy. You have the kitchen guy now. You have, it's probably about the boat. Now, that's another thing. People are going to start putting their boats in the water. That boat, they park their boats over there. They're going to be taking those boats out of next door to Louis. That's going to affect it. So there's a lot.
Do they, you do ask a good question. Do they do work, because is this considered emergency work? I mean, do they do work at night?
We do work at night. Unfortunately, with this project, we are limited based off of CDOT's permit that they're only allowing us, say, that travel daytime hours. So that's a huge, yeah, we would love to. And we try to, whenever possible, especially with businesses, we'll typically try to do nighttime work. Unfortunately, due to the equipment and the transporting of in and out, CDOT has restricted us to daytime.
And once again, hurt the little guy. Hurt the little guy, hurt the little business.
And
You
Mr.
know,
Delfino, that's not our intention, which is why, but like.
if I don't pay
sharing-
my Eversource, and I'm not, don't take this offensive at all. If I don't pay my Eversource bill, what happens? They shut off. If I don't pay my rent, what happens? I have a personal guarantee. They come after me.
But this is why we were saying, so as you're giving us detailed information, this is where Crystal, when we meet with you and you provide those details, we'll address those and then figure out workarounds, compensation, and so forth. So it'll be unique to each business, but this is the type of information that Crystal will be obtaining from you so that we can minimize the impact on
You
you,
know,
whether it be monetary or time-wise. So we have considered that. It is not
As
our
a small
intention.
business owner, it's getting harder and harder and harder.
Oh, sure.
You know, everything goes up. You can only charge so much. Banks, credit cards, they'll give you miles, this and that. Who do you think's paying? The merchant. We're paying for that. Years ago, you came in and spent $1. That dollar's one. 90% of people use cards now. You know, it's our pocket. And if we could do night business, I'm sorry for my back. If we could do a night business or we could figure something out, it'd be great. Mondays is very slow. I don't know about you guys, your businesses. Mondays is a very slow. If we could do a lot of work on Mondays, is fine. Tuesdays, but you know, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that's my prime. That's prime time. All right? Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Just to answer at least one concern, part of the reason why we ask people to do those advance warning signs is so that you don't have a lot of people turning down the street who suddenly realize that the road is closed and barricaded off. And to speak to your concern, and I think it's a valid one, the advance warning signs as well should have the businesses will be open notification on them, so that when people see that the road will be closed, they don't assume that the businesses will be closed. So that same sign that you're going to have at the end of River Road Extension during the time of the closure should be added to the ones that we're going to place out
Correct.
for the advanced warning. And we'll make sure that they're placed in, in places that are visible, obviously, and that will minimize, I won't say completely eliminate, but minimize the, they show up and they need a place to turn around. I mean, ideally, as was said, the police officer's job is to direct that traffic. That's, I will make sure that we address some of those things with the signage at least. That's the best that I can offer as far as keeping the signs,
Can I ask one more thing?
Sure.
Well, I know signage and tripods you can't have.
It's being taped, so it's just so they can hear you.
Otherwise, it becomes a voice from.
I understand signage is not allowed on the curbs, so on and so forth. But can we, on the corner, Joey B's is open, Gophers is open? I mean, put something,
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say something that is outside, but is that,
The only thing I would say to that is we have to make sure that we maintain like the proper sight lines. So we can't have 6 signs stacked on top of each other that say each individual location, but I think if we have something facing all directions that says all businesses open.
Let's do like 15 signs.
Yeah.
Speaking to if something were on the corner that wasn't affecting the sight line, I mean, if it was, a low sign temporarily while this is happening that they could put out during the 3 times that the road is actually going to be closed, I mean, I don't have a problem with that. It's really
It
more
might have
of
a
a zoning
but
issue than anything else.
My only issue with that is you might have a reverse effect, because then if you have 5 that are saying, the 5 others that don't might get confused. If
Well, and I
you're
think-
very clear about all businesses open, that's prominent, I think that
The
would be
other-
better than,
The other problem too is that, we try to give drivers the information they need in as little amount of text as possible. It's why we use picture signs,
Yeah.
because then you don't have to actually even read words, you could just look at what the picture is and figure it out. But, the more information we're asking someone to read on the fly, the harder it becomes for them to process it, and it becomes a distraction. But I think if we keep something very clean that says, all businesses open, and we place it properly in advance of the street for everyone to see, and that it's visible, we'll make sure we have it on all the corners and,
and Kent's here, and then you also have Leslie, that will put that in the paper too, that all businesses, and then Peter will, next week on the radio, we'll.
I have one
And-
other question.
tell people. I mean, when people come in
We can vote.
over the weekend
All
and
right.
on Monday,
All right.
not that it's your responsibility, but just, you can let people know, look, the road's gonna be closed tomorrow, but we're gonna be open,
My other question is power going to be cut off at any of these times? You did not state that. I mean, when they switch the transformers.
It's not planned. Should
There's
not.
no planned outages.
No. If there were outages, we would have been told. And so they've done swap outs before, and they're able to do that. So there are no anticipated outages associated with this.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Any others? Okay, so if there's a motion to approve the requested Eversource road closure plan for the replacement of their transformers at the Mianus substation contingent upon an approved detour plan through the Department of Public Works Traffic Operations Coordinator, an approved bus route plan, again, approved between police, traffic operations, a signed-off noise ordinance variance, and a highway permit. The board, I make a motion to approve the request contingent upon all 4 of those conditions being met. Okay, it's been seconded. Discussion further? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. I just would say again, the importance of over-communication, and so each of the property owners, business owners have your information in that, when they do run into an issue, who they can go to. I know, Tracy, you mentioned to me yesterday, you reiterated it today, that if in fact a business can justify variance in activity during the period of time in which the work takes place, there is a claims process that they could seek remuneration. So I think that's important to be upfront and clear to people in that area, so that they can set up internally measurements for that, not just, there's less people. But. So.
If there would be power outages, I'll tell my workers to stay home. In between.
Tracy is committed to direct all the Eversource and subcontractors to all the eating establishments, so their meal plans are already coordinated, starting with 1, then lunch, then dinner, happy hour.
Provided to get the share of that, we're good.
Thanks, everybody, for coming on a short notice, and have a great weekend. Is there a motion?